Hey everybody, David the AI Guide here. Thanks so much for tuning in. Be sure to follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and LinkedIn also. Also, click the link here to get your free AI resource with the chance to become part of our beta group for my new course. You'll find out a lot more about that if you get the resource. So check that out, and also be sure to get my book on Amazon, because that gives you a great short history of how AI first came to be and what happened until it became the breakthrough technology it's become. But also it gives you a quick overview of how AI is used today in 10 different industries. And it's a very quick read, very straightforward, simple. I think you're going to like it. It is only 2 or 3 hours to read the whole book. And my goal is to give you valuable information that you can digest quickly. Same with here. So what we're going to talk about right now is that it's very important, even though we focus on AI and how AI is enabling robotics, how it's enabling self-driving for cars and trucks, how it's enabling medical research, how it's enabling novel solutions to problems that have never been considered before. It's doing all these things, but we have entered an exponential age that is not solely AI driven. And I wanted to talk about an example of that today that is really a breakthrough, and this news is only a couple of weeks old, and it concerns the oil business. So in the oil business, first they drilled for oil on land, right? And they were going straight down and looking for big pockets of oil. And that started to taper off. So then they moved to the oceans, and they would use the offshore oil rigs and drill straight down and look for more oil. And then most recently is something you've all heard about. It's called fracking, which is you go down, but then you go horizontal and drill through sedimentary rock layers, and the oil is between the layers, and they break all that apart and get the oil out of it. That is more expensive, but when the price of oil is high, like it is right now, over $80 a barrel, it makes a lot of sense. But here is the thing about fracking. It's been banned in some places because it is very tough on the environment, number one, and number two, it leaves behind on the surface a lot of toxic residue. And that's not good, right? I mean, you're ultimately polluting your groundwater. And this is not good, because if we run out of fresh groundwater, we have a bigger problem. So there's a huge breakthrough that just was announced in oil technology 2 weeks ago. And this is a very small company making high-tech waves by unlocking expensive American oil sands at dirt cheap prices. So just like the rocks that are broken apart by fracking, underground sands can have oil trapped in it. And this process has not worked really well before because it's super expensive, and the price of oil had to be very high for it to be economically worth it to recover oil out of oil sands. But there's a company called Petrotech Energy that just got a $500 million takeover offer from Viston United Swiss AG. So business is truly global now. It used to be isolated to countries because the distances were too far apart. It took too long to ship goods. Not anymore. You've got air cargo, the container ships, which there have been some problems with lately, but these are massive things that can carry 100 times the cargo of the previous generation. Each ship 100 times the previous generation. So you see now foreign companies buying U.S. companies, and particularly where there's patents involved. That is intellectual property that is extremely valuable. So how big a breakthrough was this? Well, as I said, oil right now is trading around $84, $85 a barrel, depending on the exchange, because oil is bought and sold on exchanges just like stocks, but a commodities exchange. And it used to be that it used to cost, $60, $70 plus per gallon of oil extracted, or barrel to get the oil out of these oil sands. Well, this company, Petrotech, has unlocked trapped oil in oil sands for $22 a barrel. This is cutting the cost in a third of previous. This is a clear example of the kind of breakthroughs that are occurring across the economy, not just in tech, not just with AI, robotics, computer vision, and all the affiliated technologies that go along with it, but in practical industrial things like oil drilling, massive breakthroughs happening too. Well, what'll this do? What does this really mean? In some of the best news about this, it creates no toxic byproducts, zero pollution, and recovers 99% of the oil out of these oil sands. This is far beyond the previous. And even better, it's a closed-loop system which uses the same solvents over and over again, so there's no pollution, like I said. This technology is applicable to a bunch of stuff in the oil sector. So Canada has 100 billion equivalent barrels of oil sands worth $6 trillion. This is big, big, big money. That's oil sands, which the technology was originally invented for Venezuela, which has had massive economic problems because they pretty much exhausted their traditional oil fields, has huge oil sands reserves too. China has trillions of barrels of oil sands. China has been a huge importer of fossil fuels, and with technology like this licensed to them, if they decide to do it, and to protect their intellectual property, I wouldn't if it was my company. But China has trillions of barrels that can make them energy independent. And here in the U.S., Utah, Colorado, Wyoming, but it's more than just oil sands. The technology can be used for remediating toxic sites, because it uses this, it's a closed loop system. It uses the same solvents over and over again, so it can take in all this polluted soil, clean it, and let it out, and you've got a fully remediated site. This is huge. There are thousands of these toxic, very toxic polluted sites across the world. So this is huge, and it just goes to show you that exponential is happening in traditional businesses too. Right now, the speed of change is starting to affect everything. We've talked very recently about the materials revolution underway, and so everything that's the way it is today is going to be profoundly different in 30 years. Very different. So this is why I started the AI Guide, to bring this to you, to help you prepare for it, to give you options for jobs that are going to still be around. Oil field work is cyclical, it's boom and bust, but it is also very lucrative work. I've had some relatives who have done that work and made very good money, as well as a really good friend. So it is a career option for you guys. Thanks so much for tuning in. Click the link below. Get the free resource, learn much more about AI, and get your opportunity to participate in my new beta course. I'm only going to take 5 people, and that's it. Beta, then it'll be charged for. So you can do it for free if you do it right now. And also my book on Amazon, check that out. So thank you so much. Take care, and we'll talk to you next time.